is that while it is about relationship building and remaining, authentic and genuine as much as possible, acknowledging that every person you meet is not like one of your close friends. And so you have to still, I think, maintain some degree of professionalism and avoid being too comfortable. Like sometimes I think with friends like my guys out here, we're playfully mean to one another. And I would not ever in my wildest dreams be that way to anybody else on this panel. So, just kind of having the sort of EQ, so to speak, to really know, who you're engaging with at what level, and then not necessarily overstepping those boundaries.
Yeah, and knowing when to exit a conversation. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, go ahead.
Knowing when to exit a conversation, don't just, sometimes people have to go, and they're, looking away. They're like, trying to leave, and you keep talking at them. It's like they might have things to do. They might have a booth to take care of. Just trying to be aware of, their time, basically.
Yeah. That's a really good point, too. But I was going to say what you're saying. People follow me, and then they come up to me, and they're like, oh, my goodness, nice to see you. I follow you, da-da-da. And then I act like because they see my content, they think they know who I am. They know some personal information about me that I post out there, and they just, in their head, we're friends. But I'm looking at them, and I'm like, who are you? And they're like, oh, I'm the person with the anime avatar on Twitter. And I'm like, have we met?
So everyone on Twitter.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's like you got to be mindful that for them it's the first time meeting you. Just because you follow somebody and their content and you know what they're about doesn't mean that you're friends with them. And it's easy to get that confused.
Awesome. All right, action items. So you didn't expect that you'd come to this panel and we wouldn't give you some direction in terms of what to do now. So what can we do right now, all of us? What can we start doing now after we leave this panel?
I'd say go to the PAX. Well, I don't know what your goal is actually, but I would go to the PAX floor and just start talking to people and just getting to know them and practicing your questions and how to talk about yourself. So everyone's going to be like, what do you do? And it's good to, I don't know, this is weird to say, but have a elevator pitch about yourself, being like, this is what I want to do. This is my goals. That's so people, because I meet people and I ask them that question. Either they ramble on way too long and I'm just like, I don't even know where to begin with this. Or they're like, oh, I just like things. And I'm like, I don't know where to take care of the conversation from that either. So at this convention while you're here, I would practice now, and because it's going to take amount of time to get better.
Yeah, ask questions. Yeah, just piggyback that. You can go and find folks that, again, if you have a goal, I'm really trying to do this, get into the industry in some way or another. Building relationships and building having mentors is really important. Everything that I've done, I can't. It's not possible for me to have done it without having people to pick their brain. And so building friendships that have been really long lasting has been an important part of my success in my field, strangely. So I think if you can just take some time to think about what it is that you want to know and to try to better yourselves and ask folks to help you on that journey. I'm not talking about give me a job, right? I'm talking about how do I become how do I get to where I want to be, and are there folks that they care deeply about what they do that I can chat with. That helps. It helps a lot. Talk to people.
I'm going to say play games. In all seriousness, though, we're all here for one reason or another, and it comes down to games. And I have made some awesome friendships and connections and other things just by playing a game. So whether you're going to Indie Mega Booth or you're going to the tabletop areas, sit down with people, play games. It's games in themselves are probably one of the most the best social lubricant out there, because you get involved and then you start up conversations, and it's just. If you think about it, it's probably one of the easiest things that you can do, especially while here at PAX, is just to sit down, play a game, and then start talking to people. Because as I mentioned, before talking about the lanyard, I mean, just simply going up on a simple concept and an objective as playing a game is just going to be very much opening for you in terms of meeting new people, and then it can lead to so many other things that you probably would have never known.
I would say it also doesn't just apply to the people at panels or at booths. You know, there are probably some people in this room who you could introduce yourself to and make a connection, you know, and again, still coming at it from the approach of trying to build a relationship, but still, you know, even if a lot of people are aspiring, you never really know where someone's aspirations could lead them to, you know, or your own, and what you might be able to offer someone else. So I think also acknowledging the value of connecting with, you know, peers and everything like that. You know, it can be kind of intimidating to walk up to someone who's already established, but it might be a little bit easier to just, you know, shake hands with somebody, you know, who sat next to you at a panel or who you saw kind of walking out. Just, you know, be cool about it.
All right, and we're just going to open up the floor now to you guys. If you have any questions, we're more than happy to answer them for you.
Excuse me? Hi there. Thank you for doing this talk. I think it's very important for a lot of people, and it's very helpful. And my question is specifically for you. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Neil.
Their introductions in the beginning.
Yeah. No worries.
But thank you very much. You mentioned doing contracting work.
Yes.
And where can I find more information about this? Like GDC talks, Game Master articles?
Contracting work is really weird.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah, work for hire. So, like, what a lot of people don't know is if most video games you play, not all, but a good chunk of them, there are a lot of companies that are contributing to those projects.
Yep.
So I think Naughty Dog there's some game, I don't know if it was Last of Us or whatever, but there might, on the credits you'll see like 5 or 6 different companies. The thing people don't realize is there are lots of jobs in games and lots of groups that are working on projects that they tend to be specialized and they get tapped for a particular thing. So my team is mostly engineering. We get tapped for a lot of engineering help. The thing to look at is if you're interested in getting into contract work, build a really strong portfolio, but look at agencies that are doing contract development for other studios, because what you might find is, maybe maybe like one of your places you're applying for is Naughty Dog, but you're actually really just interested in building art. Well, what about the company that's building the art for Naughty Dog? Is there a difference there? Sometimes culturally, yes, but so
thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
I just mainly had an observation to add on to your points. I'm here pitching different game companies with our service at PAX, and you would think that if it's a service for video games, we should just talk to developers and that's it. And when we were rotating around the booths, we saw this other booth, and it was for another service for video games. And I was like, well, maybe those might be some good people to talk to. And we sat there and talked in their booth for a little bit. And they were really excited about what we were doing. And it kind of opened your mind and created some connections. And we were able to sit down with whoever was leading that booth. And they said, hey, we'd really like to collaborate on something in the future with you guys. So don't always think it's, I want to be a streamer, I have to go talk to the streamer. Or I want to be a video game dev, I have to talk to the video game dev.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that, because you're absolutely right. It's like if you go in with that like single core mindset, it's never gonna, like, you might find out you aren't going to branch out as much as you possibly can. So if you go in with an open mindset like that, there's going to be a lot more opportunities that come out of it. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Hello. So 2 random things. One, is Rengen really in Raymond, New Hampshire?
Yes.
I'm from Fremont.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
You're like
Manchester.
Huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I was just like, whoa. But 2 is, so for niches, so, like, I'm trying to merge travel, like, around the world travel with gaming. How would you market something like that? Because that's one of the things I'm having an issue with, is trying to find a marriage between the 2.
Ooh, I like this. I like this a lot.
Because I went on a trip in 2017, and I literally spent 5 months backpacking around the world.
What?
So
When you talk about gaming, be more specific. Console gaming, obviously not PC, probably.
I like
Mobile?
retro, like 18-bit. Like, I'm Super Nintendo era. So, like, But I do tabletop gaming. I do D&D. Like, I'm kind of a full gambit.
Okay, well, when people think of traveling, they think of like vistas, right? Like views and stuff like that. So imagine like you have your games out there and there's beautiful scenery behind you. Like I've seen people bring games to the beach and bring games to the mountains and that sort of thing. So if you're traveling but just looking down at like a tabletop, visually it's not really that interesting. So I think that's going to take like a lot of experimentation, and then like look at your social media engagement and like the things that get the most followers, that get the most content, follow that lead to get like build momentum and gain those followers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hey.
So it was talked about previously, like, when an influencer or whoever is going up to a developer or someone who's bigger, that, you want to be personable. You don't want it to be like a transaction. You want to show your personality. So I know that, and I try to give off that vibe when I'm talking to people too. But how many of the bigger developers or whoever it might be know that, all right, I know I don't want this to be a transaction. Do they have that same idea in their head? Do they approach it like that way? Like they're going to be able to, like, are they going to think, oh, this person's expecting something of me? Or do a lot of people at large understand, like, oh, okay, this is an up-and-comer trying to figure things out?
So is the question specifically like what developers think of streamers that come up asking for keys?
Yeah, I feel like it would depend on like the developer and the size and whatnot, but like overall in the industry from what you guys have, learned, like, do you think that a lot of companies are open to the idea overall, or they're thinking immediately, oh, they just want a key and then go away?
I would say do research ahead of time and the companies you're talking to and be like, this is what I can provide for you. If you're just like, I'm just a fan and I want to do stuff with you, we get hundreds of those. You're not standing out at all. And also I'll talk to people and they just talk about themselves the entire time. And that gets really tiring after a while. So, did you want to add something, Victoria? Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. No, I think it's very normal, like, for streamers to come up and, like, be like, here, like, okay, obviously, like, I know you want probably in the future a key, which is fine, but yeah, like Star says, like, can you make a personal impression on me? Because usually people giving out the keys, it's like, yeah, we have our stats, but we can also give keys to people we like.
Right.
Right? So it's fine if you need something from us, but if you can make an impression and befriend us, then more power to you.
Cool. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, like what Star was saying about research and what Victoria said about making an impression, a lot of times that research can also reveal areas that you can make an impression. So if you just call out something that like why you think you're a good fit, but don't talk about them, but focus yourself, but focus on them and some key thing, that's going to stand out to them and make an impression, opposed to someone else or the hundreds of people that they get requests from about like, oh, this is about me and stuff. But if you talk about them, they're more likely to respond, be like, hey, this person actually cares about us and what they're doing. And that's how you're offering some, and then it becomes more of a relationship opposed to just like me wanting that. Exactly.
Hi, guys. Thanks for doing this panel. My name is Sammy.
Oh my gosh.
Which I thought
That's
maybe
great.
I should
That's
say.
so good.
I know,
good.
right? It works.
Perfection.
My question is, so I've been working at the video game industry for 2 years now, and I'm having trouble moving up the ranks, so to speak. I want to be a community manager, but I don't have a marketing background. So the jobs I've been applying for, they're just falling flat every time. Do you guys have any advice for people looking to be a community manager, or I'm trying to get into like streaming, like any advice kind of for that?
Yeah, so specifically for community management, I also don't have a marketing background, so I totally feel you. But so many people can say that they love games, which is fine. But you need to show that you have like tangible experience, or that you're willing to, that you have learned something. So what got me my job was the fact that even though I don't have a marketing degree, I was doing marketing certifications. I was like, screw it, I'm just going to put in the time, I'm going to do it so that I can prove that I'm serious about the actual, like, maybe less fun marketing portion of it. And the same when like people apply to us like for writing jobs, they're like, I'm a writer. I'm like, great, what have you written? They're like, oh, well, I haven't written anything because I'm trying to be a writer. I'm like, okay, are you going to write something? You want to be a programmer? Have you done a game jam? Have you made a prototype of a game? Like, just showing that you can do the extra step says a lot.
Okay,
Can I add on to that? Because I'm also community, like Victoria. I did it differently. So I don't have any certifications, but like what I did was like for years I did community for free. So there's like local game dev groups, there's local Twitch groups, and they're just looking for people